The cameras flashed, the ice water poured, and just like that, Hollywood and the golfing world had a brand new obsession.
Oh, it was literally everywhere. You could not escape that video.
You really couldn't. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today, we are bringing you along on a deep dive that, well, it sounds straight out of a movie script.
Exactly. We are unpacking this massive headline, The Secret Night That Ruined Rory McIlroy.
Which is such an intense title.
Right. But to do this right and to actually separate the facts from the celebrity fiction, we're digging into some serious sources. We're looking at Tom Bauer's explosive book, Revenge.
Well, that book is just packed with details.
It really is. Plus, we're pulling from archived lifestyle blogs and, the actual sports reports from the time.
Because we want to figure out what happens when the super controlled, pristine world of professional golf just violently crashes into Hollywood's fast-paced PR machine.
Yes, exactly. So to kick things off, set the scene for us. What was actually happening in late 2014?
Well, it's basically the perfect storm, right? You have sports supremacy mixing with early-era influencer culture.
A dangerous combo.
For sure. So at the time, Rory McIlroy is a 25-year-old golf prodigy from Northern Ireland. And I mean, he is absolutely on top of the world.
He had just won the PGA Championship, right?
Yeah, the PGA Championship and the Open Championship, like back-to-back, just total domination. Meanwhile, you have Meghan Markle.
Okay, right. The Hollywood side of things.
Exactly. She is 33 at the time, starring in the American legal drama Suits, and she's, meticulously trying to build her public profile beyond just being an actress.
Right. She wants to be a lifestyle brand, basically.
Exactly. Now, the internet in late 2014 is completely consumed by the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
Oh, man, I remember that. Literally everyone was doing it.
Everyone. Your neighbors, Bill Gates, everyone. So Rory does his challenge, and he publicly nominates Meghan.
Which is pretty standard. But she doesn't just accept it and film a quick video in her backyard, does she?
Nope, not at all.
Right, which would be the normal thing to do. But she adds this massive catch. According to Tom Bauer's book, she essentially tells the #1 golfer in the world, I'll do it, but only if you personally come to my friend's apartment in New York City and dump the water on me yourself.
Out on the balcony, specifically.
Out on the balcony. I mean, that is a spectacularly bold demand to make of a world champion.
It really is. But, I mean, if we connect this to the broader mechanics of public relations, it just shows how incredibly savvy she was.
Oh, totally. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Right, because it transforms this solo, kind of basic internet video into a high-profile crossover celebrity event.
And the crazy part is Rory actually agrees. He flies in. And there is a literal video of him standing on a stepladder, pouring this bucket of frigid water over her head.
Yeah, but that video is really just the appetizer.
Yeah.
The real story, the stuff the tabloids would soon obsess over, that begins the second the cameras stop rolling.
Exactly. Because what happens next is just a complete whirlwind. They leave the apartment, they head out into New York City, and the night just gets wildly hectic.
I mean, they're in NYC. It's bound to escalate.
Right. So they end up grabbing drinks at the Fitzpatrick Manhattan Hotel. And the hotelier there, John Fitzpatrick, happens to be a massive Suits fan.
Naturally.
Yeah. So he invites them to this lavish dinner at the upscale Cipriani restaurant. We are talking about a massive group of 20 friends eating incredible food, celebrating, and sipping Opus 1 wine late into the night.
Wow.
I mean, it sounds like the ultimate VIP New York experience.
It does. But this is exactly where the reality of Rory's elite sports profession violently crashes into the reality of his new social life.
Yes.
Well, putting a rigorously disciplined athlete into the Hollywood PR machine is a lot like taking an animal out of a highly controlled, quiet laboratory and just dropping it straight into the middle of a neon-lit casino.
Oh, I love that analogy. It's just sensory overload.
Exactly. The conditioning completely breaks down because the very next morning, Rory has to make a 30-mile trek to the Ringwood Golf Course to play in a brand new tournament.
And it is an absolute disaster. He arrives exhausted, and he is definitely worse for wear after this heavy night out.
Which is unheard of for him.
Right. You have to understand, this is a guy who was literally dominating the entire sport. He was making the most difficult courses look easy, and suddenly he steps onto the green and completely falls apart.
Just totally unraveled.
Yeah, he drops all the way to 101st place.
Ouch.
Now, common sense tells you that after a devastating professional performance like that, you go back to your hotel, you drink some water, you sleep it off, and you recalibrate your swing.
Right, you do damage control.
But he doesn't. Instead of resting, he immediately gets in a car and drives 30 miles straight back to New York City to see Meghan again.
That is wild.
He even admitted later to the press, he said, "I wasn't quite on my game. I was enjoying myself."
You know, that admission is so revealing. It really highlights a momentary, total abandonment of the intense discipline that got him to the top in the first place.
He was just checked out.
Yeah, he was willing to sacrifice his performance, his ranking, basically everything for the thrill of that specific experience.
Okay, wait, hold on. I have to jump in and push back here for a second. Aren't we being a little too cynical about this?
How do you mean?
Well, is it really this calculated PR reality distortion field like the tabloids painted it? Or is it just two young, attractive, rich people who genuinely hit it off over some really expensive drinks?
That's a fair point.
I mean, it reminds me of a college student pulling a reckless all-nighter before an 8 a.m. final exam. You know you shouldn't be out, but the energy of the night is just too good to leave.
Right. FOMO, basically.
Exactly. Not everything has to be a master plan, right? Do you think this was a genuine romantic spark driving him back to the city?
Well, it's likely a potent mix of both, honestly. But you really can't ignore the environmental factors at play here.
Okay, like what?
When you combine the adrenaline of a viral internet moment with the exclusivity of a VIP dinner at Cipriani, it creates this intoxicating atmosphere.
Oh, for sure.
And for Rory, whose entire life from childhood was defined by rigorous practice schedules, swing mechanics, and quiet golf courses, this sudden injection of Hollywood glamour and spontaneous, chaotic energy must have been incredibly alluring.
He was just swept up in it.
Exactly. It wasn't just about a person. He was stepping into a completely different lifestyle.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's the sheer contrast that makes it so addictive. But wait till you hear what came next, because this one night sparked a wave of international jealousy and a trail of digital breadcrumbs that the internet just obsessed over.
Oh, the drama was just getting started.
Seriously. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed, because we've got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
So, to truly understand the fallout of this night, we have to look at the cause and effect. Rory's terrible golf game was really just the match that lit the PR fire.
Right.
Once Meghan successfully tested her ability to elevate her image by standing next to a massive sports star in New York, the strategy naturally evolved.
It went to the next level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The real drama happened behind closed doors and on the internet, because the media machine immediately began to amplify what might have been an innocent, fun night out into a full-blown tabloid spectacle.
Oh, and Meghan herself definitely poured a little gasoline on that fire.
She certainly didn't hide it.
No, because at the time, she was running a lifestyle blog called The Tig. And right after this New York trip, she wrote this incredibly vivid, gushing post about him.
Yeah, that post is famous.
She didn't just casually mention hanging out with a golfer. She wrote, "The Rory McIlroy, whispered and shouted to be the foremost golfer in the world." Yeah, and she praised his work-play ethic. She specifically highlighted that bold choice of Opus 1 wine they drank. She talked about eating pasta with veal ragu, and she noted his genuine love for his parents.
The parents' comment is interesting.
Right. She said that kind of grounded nature was rarely seen in men his age. She literally called him as real and honest as they come, and not just the real deal, he is real.
You know, what's fascinating here is the mechanism of status signaling.
Oh, explain that.
Well, we have to look closely at the language and the details she chose for the TIG. She isn't just recounting a nice meal, she is using culinary semiotics.
Fancy words for name-dropping expensive stuff.
Basically, by specifically naming Opus 1, which is a highly prestigious $400+ bottle of wine, and pairing it with veal ragu, she is subtly signaling to her readers that she belongs in the uppermost echelons of wealth, taste, and culture.
She's elevating her own brand.
Exactly. She is separating herself from everyday influencers. She's positioning Rory as a cultured, cherished individual and seamlessly placing herself right next to him in that elite narrative.
Which perfectly explains why she didn't want the momentum to stop. Because just 2 months after the Ice Bucket Challenge, in October 2014, Meghan lobbies incredibly hard to get an invitation to the prestigious One Young World Summit in Dublin.
And that's a big deal.
Huge. Now, for those who don't know, One Young World is a massive global forum that gathers young leaders to discuss global issues. She ends up speaking about gender equality alongside absolute titans like Sheryl Sandberg.
Right. And according to Tom Bower's book, Meghan was really developing a sharp understanding of how celebrity in Hollywood is exponentially enhanced by philanthropy and global activism.
It adds that layer of seriousness.
Exactly. Being seen at an event like One Young World adds serious intellectual and humanitarian gravity to her brand.
But, of course, the tabloids weren't just interested in her speech on gender equality.
Yeah.
Because while she's in Dublin, she and Rory reunite for dinner at a swanky restaurant called Fade Street Social.
Oh, right. The Dublin dinner.
Yeah, and an Irish reporter named Alexandra Ryan was there, and she noted that Meghan looked absolutely smitten, gazing intently at Rory, and that the two of them looked very cozy chatting all night.
Which is where things get really complicated.
Exactly. And if you're listening to this right now, you are probably screaming at your phone wondering, wait a minute, wasn't she dating someone?
Yes,
Yeah.
she absolutely was. And this is where the intersection of public image and private life becomes volatile.
Extremely volatile.
Meghan had been dating celebrity chef Cory Vitiello for 2 years at this point. And according to sources, Cory was growing increasingly furious about this public narrative spinning totally out of control.
I mean, he was livid. Imagine being in his shoes. The emotional drama here is just intense.
It must have been awful for him.
According to Bauer, Cory had already confronted Meghan over the summer, asking point blank if she was having a relationship with the golf star. She insisted it was totally innocent, and he believed her.
But then Dublin happens.
Right. Meghan flies to Dublin from Toronto with Cory on a flight that some insiders suggested was actually paid for by Rory.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes. And after the reports of this cozy, smitten dinner at Fade Street Social come out, Cory confronts her again. He angrily asks her if there had been an affair.
And her response is categorical.
Totally.
She emphatically denies betraying him. She insists, again, that she and Rory are just friends. And once more, Cory believes her.
It's just wild.
But the power of PR is so strong that the very next day, that same Irish reporter updated her story to say Cory and Meghan looked madly in love and were sewn at the hip for the rest of their time in Ireland.
Talk about narrative whiplash.
It's a masterclass in narrative control, honestly.
Which must have been a massive relief for Meghan. But I keep thinking about Rory in all of this.
Yeah, his role is sort of baffling if you don't know the whole story.
Exactly. Why was he acting so recklessly? Why was he bouncing from New York to Dublin, playing bad golf, supposedly paying for flights, and letting himself get completely wrapped up in this celebrity blogger's orbit?
It does seem strange for him.
It feels so out of character for a guy known for laser focus. But later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming. The emotional wreckage Rory was dealing with just months before this infamous night out.
Because that's really the key to this whole story.
So break it down for us.
To really understand why Rory was so willing to blow off steam and abandon his discipline in New York, we can't just look at the Ice Bucket Challenge in a vacuum. We need to rewind just 3 months prior to May 2014.
Okay, what happened in May?
If you look at his personal life at that exact moment, it was in a state of complete devastating turmoil. This wasn't just a young, rich athlete enjoying his money.
Right.
This was a man seeking an escape from a very public, very painful heartbreak.
Wait, you're talking about the Caroline Wozniacki situation, right? Because that heartbreak was monumental.
It was huge news.
Earlier that year, Rory was engaged to the Danish tennis star. They were the ultimate sports royalty power couple. They had even set a date for a lavish wedding in New York for November.
They were fully committed.
They had literally just sent out the wedding invitations to their friends and family. And then, in a shocking twist, Rory calls off the wedding. A 3-minute phone call, just days after the invites went out.
That is so brutal.
He releases a public statement saying, "The problem is mine. The wedding invitations issued at the weekend made me realize that I wasn't ready for all that marriage entails."
And, the emotional toll it took on him was highly visible.
You could see it on his face.
Right after the announcement, he had a scheduled press conference at Wentworth for the BMW PGA Championship, and he was close to tears.
It was hard to watch.
He looked completely shaken, hollowed out by the public humiliation of it all. He admitted to the press that it was going to be very difficult to refocus on his career. He said, "I'm no different than anyone else. Everyone has been through breakups, and it's obviously very, very difficult."
And honestly, anyone would expect him to completely crumble on the golf course after a public meltdown like that.
Almost anyone would.
But here's where the psychology of elite sports is just so incredible. Instead of folding, Rory channels all of that grief directly into his game. He stages one of the most astonishing fightbacks in golf history.
It's legendary.
He starts the final round trailing the leader Thomas Bjorn by 7 shots. And in professional golf, making up 7 shots on the final day is borderline miraculous.
It almost never happens.
But he shoots a stunning final round 66. He's making crucial shots out of bunkers, he's chipping in for birdies under immense pressure, and he wins the BMW PGA Championship by a single stroke.
Unbelievable.
How on earth do you do that when your personal life is literally falling apart on the front pages of the tabloids?
Well, it is the ultimate testament to the psychological tool of compartmentalization. Elite athletes are trained to build mental walls.
They have to be, right?
Yeah. Rory later explained that getting inside the ropes of the golf course was a release for him. It gave him a few hours of absolute serenity and sanctuary, where the outside world didn't exist, and he could just focus on the mechanics of what he does best.
That makes a lot of sense.
But think about the emotional whiplash, right?
Yeah.
Going from calling off a wedding to crying at a press conference to lifting a championship trophy in the span of just a few days is staggering.
It's too much for anyone to process.
So when we circle back to him meeting Meghan in New York a few months later, the context changes everything. He wasn't just a party boy blowing off a tournament.
No, not at all.
He was a young man who had just survived a massive emotional crucible. He was newly single, highly successful, and desperately craving something light, fun, and completely disconnected from the heavy expectations of his past relationship.
Okay, when you frame it like that chaotic night in New York makes so much more sense. He was finally exhaling. The lab animal was just happy to be in the casino for a minute, you know?
That's exactly what it was.
And what I really love about this whole saga is that eventually the rumors faded, the tabloid frenzy died down, and both of them found these massive, cinematic, parallel happy endings.
They really did.
They took completely divergent paths, but they both got what they were looking for.
Yeah, their paths diverged entirely, but both led to highly publicized, deeply romantic conclusions. If we look at Meghan's path first, she clearly found her footing in the exact world she was signaling toward on her blog, Global Philanthropy and Royalty.
Oh, absolutely. She began dating Prince Harry in 2016 after a blind date. And I mean, we all remember the 2018 royal wedding at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle.
It was a global event.
It was the definition of star-studded. George Clooney, Serena Williams, Elton John, Oprah Winfrey, they were all there. And in a really cinematic moment, because of family drama and her father's poor health, she actually walked the first part of the aisle unescorted.
Which was a massive break from tradition.
A historic break from royal tradition. Before Prince Charles walked her the rest of the way. Today, they live in America with their 2 children, Archie and Lilibet. She got the ultimate fairy tale.
And Rory's redemption arc is equally compelling, though rooted in a very different kind of story.
Tell us about his.
Well, he didn't marry Hollywood. He married someone deeply embedded in his own world, someone who understood the pressures of the sport. He began dating Erica Stoll, and they married in 2017 at an ancient Irish castle with Stevie Wonder performing.
Still pretty glamorous.
True, but the way they actually met is the fascinating part.
Oh, it is the ultimate meet cute. For those who don't know, Erica was a PGA transport official at the 2012 Ryder Cup in Medina, Illinois.
And the Ryder Cup is huge.
Now, for context, the Ryder Cup is the most intense, high-pressure team event in golf, pitting the USA against Europe. And Rory had famously messed up his time zones and overslept.
Which is just a nightmare scenario.
Yeah. A total nightmare. He was on the verge of missing his tee time, which would have been an international sports disaster. Erica was the one who noticed he was missing, tracked him down, and secured a police escort in a squad car to rush him to the course just in time to play.
She literally saved the day.
She literally saved his tournament. And Europe went on to pull off the miracle at Medina. They were friends for years before it turned romantic in 2014, right around the exact time all this other drama we've been talking about was happening.
It perfectly highlights the grounding force she brought to his life. While they did have a brief, highly publicized divorce filing in May of 2024, they reconciled just a month later, deciding their best future was as a family with their daughter, Poppy.
Which is so nice to hear.
Yeah, and professionally, he found his anchor again, too. Winning the career Grand Slam isn't just another trophy, it's the holy grail of golf, putting him in a microscopic elite club.
He really cemented his legacy.
He capped it off by sinking a tense birdie in a playoff against Justin Rose at the Masters. And to top it all off, he made history as the first golfer ever crowned BBC Sports Personality of the Year, beating out massive names like Formula One Lando Norris and darts champion Luke Littler.
It is so incredibly satisfying when the messy middle of a story resolves into something that feels right for everyone involved.
It really is.
From a freezing bucket of water to royal weddings and historic sports victories, what a ride. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.
As we wrap up this exploration, there's a broader question that lingers beneath the surface of all these events.
What's that?
We've seen how a simple charity challenge spiraled into a complex international tabloid event. It really makes you wonder, how do modern celebrities balance the genuine desire for public philanthropy, like the Ice Bucket Challenge, with the intense, often destructive romantic scrutiny it inevitably brings to their private lives? Does charity in Hollywood always come with a tabloid price tag?
Man, that is a great question to leave off on. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood music and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.